This video is brought to you by the Filipino Science Hub page.
Hello dear viewers, this is John, your learning facilitator last time for the first ever webinar of the Filipino Science Hub. As promised, these are my follow-through responses to the queries and comments posted by the participants on Zoom and on Live FB. And most of these responses are from my personal experience as a consultant to many institutions here and abroad, and of course from the literature. And so for certain references, you may just probably refer back to the complete video of the webinar at hand. Alright, so let's get started then with the first question. As an accomplished professor yourself, how would you motivate our high school teachers to continue professional development so that they can keep up with the evolving classroom teachers? Alright, I think best practices would suggest that we have to be teachable in the very first place, and we never stop learning as educators. We have to begin with an end in mind, in that we further enhance and get updated on our knowledge and skill sets, and we'll be able to teach better, tailored fit to the evolving classroom learners. We need to remember that as educators, we should be learner-centered, because our main clients are our students, and we need to ensure that our students are satisfied and they comprehend what we introduce them to. Ultimately, it becomes win-win, and you learn more, your approach becomes better, and your students learn better too, because you speak the language, right? Okay, for the next question, what should we do to discipline a very stubborn student? Sometimes it is very difficult to lead students inside the classroom with just having extra patience and talking to them, talking to them in a nice way, no humiliation. However, there are not changes with their behavior. Thank you very much, Joyce Luna, a secondary teacher. Now for that, best practices also tell us, Joyce, that we should always revisit our role as a friend, a coach, and a mentor, and we need to do some self-audit. Did we get feedback too from our students or peers in terms of our ways of ensuring a harmonious learning environment? And we all need to be scientific in that we should employ some root cause analysis so that the way we address the gaps will be more targeted. And for sustainability, we need to partner with our parents, given that they are also in the right capacity to do so, or with a school counselor, and if need be, of course, with a medical expert. Otherwise, school has some due process for sure, a due process mechanism as well, where we can subject the student for help. Alright, now the third question is, Professor John, how do we effectively teach humility and impart this teaching to our students? Student attitudes have drastically changed over time, and how do we point them in the right direction? Well, for this, the best way to teach humility is by first modeling it. Do we take time to listen before we react? Do we value their inputs and not embarrass students? We will espouse humility if our insights are also evidence-based or well-founded, and not just based on our personal whims as educators. And that way we show our vulnerabilities as teachers, and yet we are okay to address them. And remember that most often than not, the attitude of students is a reflection of the teacher's leadership, and if they are to it defensive, it's most likely that educators are more inclined to finger-pointing or embarrassing. And the steps that I've pointed out earlier also, I think, apply in this particular instance. Okay, now we go to the next question. Thanks for your presentation, Professor John, and how would you motivate our students and teachers to have the initiative to continue learning at this time of crisis in their respective homes? I think this is similar to the next one, which is from Danielle Chavez. Thank you very much. As an educator too, how will you extrinsically motivate the learning educators to pursue professional growth amidst the current crisis or soon-to-be educators? Well, for these two questions, I think we need to ensure first that the environment provides an opportunity to grow. The school has to look after educators' educational advancement too. Do schools allow them to enroll in online programs for certain fees? Or do principals get in touch with them for some psychological sustainability? Another motivating factor is, of course, reward. Probably we can reward them for finished courses, modules, activities, like an upgrading or a simple recognition or an opportunity to do an echo session, and stress on the disadvantages if none at all. We cannot afford to just stagnate. What's important is that every educator is doing something actively or proactively to keep the fire burning. Yeah, well, I think there's another question here. Okay, what should be the proper approach for the students who are humiliating teachers when trying to give their knowledge to the class, since we are expected to learn as well from our students? That's from Joy Sloan. I think Joy Sloan already asked earlier, but thank you very much. That's already 2 questions. Well, for this, I think the psychology of teaching suggests that we've got to assess our reaction to the situation first, why we felt humiliated. Was it deliberate humiliation, or only our personal interpretation based on certain norms and traditions that may need some reviewing from our end? And just like in any family setting, the other party has to know about our feelings, so our students should know too, so they could be more sensitive next time. And again, we apply root cause analysis so we can come up with the right strategy and never lose track that you need to coach the student too on communication skills by first showing how to do it, and that you are also doing it yourself to everybody else. And if you have objectively assessed that the student has great leadership potential, then might as well create an avenue for him or her to shine, or do some echo sessions or lead brainstorming activities. And in that way you are capitalizing on the competence and at the same time recognizing it. Alright, we've got, I think, last 2 questions. Well, here, how do we, this is from Rhea May Mahilum, Dep Ed Sipalay City. How do we practically apply those educational perspectives when we can't bring up the respect of some students towards their teachers because of child protection policy? And how can you cite specific examples in realigning these goals towards students' development and teachers' self-respect? I think there's another one here that is similar to this question. Okay, from Maria Merlina Beltran Josue. How can we bring back the respect we had before to our dear teachers today? Because of child protection policy, teachers are afraid to curtail bad behavior of pupils in class for fear that they may be dismissed outright. Well, you know, I want to start by saying that these perspectives are universally ethical. These are global and can be adopted whether there are child protection policies or none. In the first place, child protection policy is never about disrespect. It's never about taking away that respect inside the classroom or inside that learning environment. It is, in fact, just about due process and the right to a safe learning environment. No one, not even a teacher, has the right to embarrass, bully, or aggress on students. This is also to balance things out, since there are policies at school imposing discipline on students for their misconduct. So I think it is just but fair that there are policies too protecting the students from faculty and other individuals in the school who might have some plans of abusing them or aggressing on them. And for clarification purposes, maybe an open forum and expectation setting in schools might be the answer, as long as there's been a win-win objective laid out. After all, we earn respect by being a friend, a coach or mentor, and not by being a bully or aggressor, taking advantage of our powers over students. And we never stop revisiting our approaches and leveling up and bringing out the best in students without compromising relationships. And by this policy, I think we can model fairness and that we get to earn more respect in return, right? Okay, well, we have another one here. Well, for this particular comment, thank you very much, Maria Angelita Rabanal of Cagayan State University at Apari, Cagayan Valley. The webinar is interesting. It really encompasses our holistic well-being to eventually come up with a good redesigning efforts of our education system, thinking how our current status affects now the delivery of instruction in the country. Well, what could I say? Thank you. I just would like to say thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity, everybody, for letting me share my experience with all of you. And just in case if your schools want more topics for the webinar, or if you are interested in inviting me over for some talk or expert assistance, these are my areas of expertise, coaching and mentoring, motivational performance, strategic management, etc., etc. Please feel free to reach out through these accounts that you see on the right panel. Well, I think this ends my follow-through video. I wish you all the best of health and safety, everyone. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for watching. Follow the Filipino Science Hub page for more updates and exciting contents.